Hello there, this is BBC News. I'm Lukwesa Burak. In a moment, we're going to be taking a look at tomorrow morning's papers with my guests Tony Grew and Caroline Frost. First though, our headlines. And after more than 2 weeks of thrilling sporting action, the Tokyo Olympic Games end with a spectacular closing ceremony. Team GB end the Games with 22 gold medals as Jason Kenny's cycling gold makes him the country's most decorated Olympian. Another provincial capital in Afghanistan falls to the Taliban as they continue to make ferocious assaults against key northern cities. Thousands flee their homes in Greece as forest fires burn out of control. The country faces its most intense heat wave in more than 30 years. A new analysis suggests that up to 14 million people could be on NHS waiting lists in England by next autumn. Hello and welcome to our look ahead to what the papers will be bringing us tomorrow. I'm joined this evening by the parliamentary journalist Tony Grew and the journalist and broadcaster Caroline Frost. Lovely to see you both. Our chat in a moment, quick look through the front pages, and let's start off with The Guardian, shall we? Which leads with a warning from environmental scientists who say time is running out on our chances of tackling climate change. They say the risks to the global climate system are imminent and dire. Britain's greatest ever Olympian, Jason Kenny, makes the front page of the Metro as the Olympics draws to a close, or rather has drawn to a close. It's his 7th Olympic gold medal this morning. The Eye says the private health firms will profit from the NHS waiting list backlog, whilst more than 500,000 patients could face delays for heart care. American and Swiss businesses battle it out for the takeover of the UK inhaler maker Vectura, with a £1 billion bid on the table. Now that's the lead story on the front of the Financial Times. The Telegraph leading with an interview with Sir Peter Lample, founder and chairman of the Sutton Trust, who says that too many kids are going to university and amassing huge debts. And a cabinet minister tells the Daily Mail that civil servants should have their pay cut if they continue to work from home, after the government recommends a gradual return to the office for its employees. OK, that was a little flavour of the front pages. Caroline and Tony, hi there. Caroline, we're going to have to start off with the Olympics, and we're going to go with the front page of the Metro.
Fantastic, isn't it? What a way to finish the Olympics. This is the stuff of fairy tales. So obviously cynics will leap in to say that of course cyclists can win more medals than athletes in other sports because they have so many events that they can participate in. However, I don't think that should take away from the great haul, the fairy tale aspect of Jason Kenny saving the best to last and emerging from Tokyo as Chris Hoy just said. I mean, he called him the world's best ever athlete. Perhaps there would be some debate about that in pubs across the land, but certainly our greatest now Olympian. What a way to go.
Did you watch the race, Caroline?
No, I didn't. I've been saving all of the cycling to watch in one go because I've been travelling, but I have been keeping an eye. And I have to say, it's caused much chat in the household about these various names, the Omnians, the Madisons, the Kierans, and we all become sort of cycling sofa experts for a fortnight only. But clearly he has something very, very special.
Tony, have you seen the race back, or did you stay up for it, or, you know, what did you make of it?
I haven't seen it. I think the Olympics have been, as usual, a really interesting period of a couple of weeks where suddenly everyone becomes extremely interested in and has opinions on sports they've never heard of before, and certainly sports they never would usually watch. And to me, that's one of the joy of the Olympics. The one that was a real surprise for me was the BMXing. It was much more exciting than I was expecting. So, you know, it's an interesting couple of weeks that comes around every 4 years. But I just wanted to say one thing about the medal tally, which is, and this isn't something I say often, but this is a triumph for John Major's government. They invented the national lottery. In 1996, at the 1996 Olympics, Britain only won 1 gold medal. And since 1997, with lottery funding, obviously our fortunes have significantly improved. So well done, John Major.
Do you know what? when we talk, as you said there, Tony, about new sports and what have you, it was that wall climbing that really got me. I don't know what you both made of it. Let's just turn to the Sun as we discuss this, because they're also going with Hero 65 medal miracle, Gleam GB. Yeah, but the climbing, I was gobsmacked at what I was watching. Caroline.
You're going to start doing it now. You're going to be one of these many thousands of people that goes out and finds their new sport. What's so interesting, of course, is that, as Tony said, for 2 weeks we'll become these armchair experts, and it's all very glamorous. And we all think, as we say, I think Taekwondo is going to be the way to go. But what we don't see is Jason Kenney, just for example, the fact that, yes, 2021, but he started his medal haul in 2008. So that's now 13 years of getting out of bed at 5 a.m. every day, probably, hopefully, except Christmas Day, and doing the hard yards. We've seen the training videos. They are not for the faint-hearted. And so I don't think we should forget, while we glory in the glamour of it and live vicariously through these great heroes and heroines, just the amount of effort and personal sacrifice that is involved every single day in, day out, when the glamour is long since behind them and long ahead. I mean, I hope they continue, but they would be forgiven. As Steve Redgrave said all those years ago, somebody shoot me if I think about doing this again. OK, Tony, why don't you take us to the front page of The Guardian? Almost out of time. We've been hearing about this warning now for, 24, 48 hours, fair to say?
I think we've been hearing this for 24 to 48 years, frankly.
That's true.
Seriously, this idea of climate change and the fact that we need to take drastic action has been politically current for at least 25 years, probably 30. I was watching an episode of The West Wing the other day that was all about climate change, and that was made in the 1990s. Look, Western countries are going to have to take the lead, and industrialized countries, more correctly, rather than westernized countries, are going to have to take a lead. And in terms of what it means for domestic policy, it's probably going to mean some quite expensive changes to the way in which we heat our homes. It's going to mean changes to the way in which we move around the country. And my concern is that the government's not preparing the voters for the cost of that and for the seriousness of it. So the government has, for example, said that they're going to ban the sale of petrol and diesel cars by 2030. That's less than 9 years away. But where's the infrastructure? Where's this huge amount of investment in building the electricity infrastructure we need to switch to electric cars? So I think that we're all aware of the problem, and some noises are being made, but I don't think enough is being done to make the voters aware of both of the urgency of it, which people may not be more aware of, but also the costs of it, which is something the government doesn't seem to want to talk about very much.
That's true. Caroline, please could you take us to the front page of the Telegraph? We've just got to skip through them quickly, but we will have longer, hopefully, in our next edition. Front page of the Telegraph, too many teenagers are going to university.
Right, well, so for 20 years, ever since 1999, Tony Blair, one of his great policies was this wonderful celebration. Let's get as many students to university as possible. And of course, 21 years later, here we are now. The people are speaking about the great debt that is incurred by people who are coming out with unrealistic expectations of either getting jobs that pay sufficiently well to justify that time in study, and also the great debt that they have to start paying back. The government are coming up with this alternative degree apprenticeships, which involves studying while working and incurs no debt at the end of it. And this is something they're posing as a very fresh antidote and hoping to push as many people in that direction as possible. I'm
going to bring you in on this, Tony, because you were nodding your head a lot there, so you've obviously got something to say on this subject.
I just think this is a much more fundamental question about what is university for.
Absolutely.
I studied English literature at university. I'm not sure I would have taken out £27,000 worth of loans to do that. It was a hugely important experience for me. But the reality is we've got some universities that are substandard. We've created a system where people leave university with a vast amount of debt. The idea of, for example, a graduate tax, which is used in other countries, hasn't really been explored. It's just, for me, this is an example of the full commodification of university education, and that makes me very sad, to be honest.
OK, we're going to end on the front page of the Financial Times, and it's messy. Really quickly, Caroline, if you could say briefly what you make of that career, Lionel Messi's career ending at Barcelona.
Well, we could all get very tearful and sentimental about this, but the fact is that the reason we're being given that he's leaving is because the club can no longer afford him. And I've looked up his net worth, and it is an astonishing £309 million. So frankly, he could afford to play for free if he were so moved. But yeah, end of an era. And here we go. Barcelona will never be the same again without its great match-playing total.
OK, I'll take that nod as an agreement, Tony. Like I said, we've got a longer edition at 11:30. But for now, thank you very much, Caroline Frost, Tony Grew, thank you. And thank you, of course, also for following us with the papers here on BBC News. 11:30 for the next edition.